As Melissa said, thank you so much. I'm Kalia Smith, and today we will be discussing gratitude. We're going to be discussing what is guilt, what is gratitude, and how we can use gratitude to overcome that guilt. Right? So let's dive right in. But before we dive into the what's and the how's, I'd just like to give you a little background on who I am and how I got here. As I said, my name is Kalia Smith. I am located in New York. From Jamaica. I've been in the project management field for 15 years, supporting healthcare and gaming. I am a mom to a beautiful 4-year-old son. My mom's status was established in 2018. And in 2021, I became a KonMari consultant, right? Like Rachel said before, I've stepped into my purpose, starting my business, Serene and Sorted, helping my clients spark joy in their homes. Being that it is Mother's Day Monday, I'd like to shout out my mom because my mom moved in with my partner and myself back in 2018 to help me raise my son. So I am eternally grateful for her. I also refer to myself as a weekend warrior because unlike Rachel, I have not made that pivot. I still have my corporate job. So I help my clients get organized and spark joy on weekends. So that's just a little bit about me. So we'll jump into our presentation right now. All right. I know as moms, we can all, this would resonate with everyone here. What is guilt? We all feel this every day. Is that feeling of like we deserve blame, especially for those offenses for those imagined offenses, because a lot of times we're making this stuff up, right? And that sense of inadequacy. And then what is gratitude? Gratitude is that ability to be thankful and appreciative, right? It helps us shift our mindset from what we lack to what we have and promoting those positive emotions. So I want us all to remember those definitions as I run through this presentation, because I think it's going to be very important for us to just think like the contrast. How do we use gratitude to combat that guilt? It's very, very powerful. And I just like to, give you a little backstory as to how I, chose this topic in particular for today's recharge, right? As I said, I have my 4-year-old son. I have my business, as well as my 9-to-5, right? So mom guilt gets real with me. Trust me, it does get real. And especially last year, as I said, I started my business in 2021, but in 2022, was a really good year for my business. I was getting a lot of clients, making meaningful impact with being very impactful in their homes, helping people find joy, getting feedback that they feel like they've finally live in a home that they're comfortable in. But I was feeling extremely guilty because I was, away from my son, a couple of hours on a Saturday. Even though he was with my mom, the mom guilt was still very real. So I decided to have a conversation with my partner to find out if he is struggling with the same things I'm struggling with, because he also has his 9-to-5. He's also in the military, so he travels a lot, and it was a contrasting no, right? He pretty much expressed to me that he loves what he does. He's living in his purpose, being in the military, and he's being a good role model for his son. And that was a light bulb moment for me. Because I'm like, without saying gratitude, he was actually expressing gratitude for the life that he's living, but I was struggling with mom guilt. And that was very, very impactful, right? I'm like, how can I embrace that gratitude that he's living in, right? And I know it's easier for dads, and I'm not saying dads don't feel parenting guilt, but as mom, we're typically the primary caregivers, right? We're those, typically the default parents, but it's up to us to release and break that cycle. So in preparation for today's presentation as well, I just did a bit of research, and these are like the top 5 reasons I discovered that moms feel guilt, right? We feel guilt for losing our temper, not playing enough, not spending enough time, too much screen time, even though that can be beneficial, depending on how you look at it, and not being good role models, right? However, if we use gratitude to start reframing these negative thoughts, it can be extremely impactful and, promote that positive feeling in our lives. So instead of thinking or saying, I'm a bad mom, how about we pivot and say or think, I made a bad decision, but I'll do better next time, right? Another way of thinking that I know it affects us, or we've all felt this in the past, is my child deserves better. But instead of that, the reframe would be, I'm doing the best I can. I may have lost my temper, but it's a sign that I need rest, right? Being mindful of what we need and realizing that we can't give from an empty cup, right? So instead of beating ourselves up, just being mindful of when we need a second to step back. In the discussion Allison and Marie had, that was a very key point, was like, we have to take care of ourselves in order to take care of our family, right? So it's just that reframe that's so important. And lastly, it's another one that I know a majority of us struggle with, is other moms are managing so much better than I am. The reframe for that could be, we all have unseen struggles, and it's not a competition, right? We're all in this together. It's not a competition. We know other people may carry their load or appear to carry it better than we do, but it's not a competition, right? So hopefully this gives you guys some tips and tricks in regards to how we can reframe these negative thoughts. And then also, I just wanted to pivot into just giving some feedback with my clients, why they feel guilty. Because I work with a lot of busy moms. I work with, working professionals, elderly, and this has been like the overall theme for them in my organizing business when I'm helping people spark joy, right? They have a hard time letting go. They spend hard-earned money on items, right? It feels wasteful. It may have been a gift, even though they're not using it. They don't want to let it go. An item doesn't fit anymore, or it was like a sentimental attachment, right? And just realizing that the KonMari method is deeply rooted in gratitude, right? It takes what we have, or we realize that what we have is enough, right? I've never, been working with a client and like we're going through clothes and we're looking at a mountain of clothes and the client is like, you know what, I need more clothes. There's always that light bulb moment when they realize that, you know what I have is enough. And gratitude is that antidote to guilt, right? Feeling guilty as a mom or just as a person, it helps us shift our focus from what we lack into focusing on what we have. And that's extremely, extremely important, right? So now let's dive into benefits. So I've been speaking about, I think we all are aware that shifting from a negative mindset to positive thoughts is the number one benefit of like gratitude, right? Another really, really powerful benefit is it promotes that self-forgiveness, right? Because we're human. We're all human. We're all going to make mistakes, but it's very, very important to forgive yourself, right? Benefits also, not a benefit, I apologize, gratitude. Another benefit of gratitude is it encourage a very growth mindset, right? Once you're thinking more positively, you're learning, you're focusing on improvements, you may even start viewing your mistakes as opportunities to grow, right? And that's very important because we're all growing, we're all evolving, right? There's constant change and growth, and that's a benefit of gratitude. Another benefit is it just enhances your overall well-being, right? You're focusing on living more positively. You're stepping into your light. When we feel good, that affects our mental health in a positive way, physical health in a positive way. So that's another benefit. It just enhances our overall well-being, and it also increases that self-worth, right? Because we need to recognize that how good we are, right? And all the good that we do as moms, like it is a full-time job. We're all project managers. We're booking the dentist appointments, the doctor's appointments, doing the drop-offs, the pickups, the bedtimes, the bath time. There's a lot going on. And it's really realizing that you're really good at this and you're doing a really, really good job. It definitely improves that feeling of self-worth, right? So those are just a few benefits. By no means is that everything, but hopefully this resonates with everyone. So now that we've understand the benefits of gratitude, how can we implement this in our daily lives, right? What practices that we can implement to really drive home and make this very impactful so that we can really eliminate guilt, especially as moms and working moms, right? One way is by keeping a journal. I know Marie touched on this in her presentation as well. It's just like identifying 3 or 5 things that you're thankful for. It could be really quick in the morning or at night, writing in your notes app on your phone. There are countless free apps on the App Store, or if you want to go old school, you can write it in your journal, right? I even implement this practice with my son. So at night, when we're doing our bedtime routine after we read a bedtime story, I have him tell me 3 things that he's thankful for. And it's the sweetest things. Like, obviously, he's thankful for his toys, his Paw Patrol bear, but it's also instilling that practice in him to be positive. Which I think is, starting them young, it's very impactful. Also expressing gratitude to others. I came across a Wharton Business School study that said that once colleagues express gratitude, productivity increased 50%, right? So that's a big deal. Like, it helps us to be more efficient in the workplace. And there was another article I discovered. The New York Times recently, a couple months ago, they were talking about the power of an 8-minute phone call, right? So we're all very busy. And, we may have a friend that's so near and dear to us, but we just can't find the time. 8 minutes is super short, right? Just having that quick 8-minute phone call, just expressing that thank you through a text is not only going to be impactful for you, but it strengthens the connections that we have and with our community. And we all know that community is so important, right? Another way of implementing gratitude is volunteering or donating, right? Volunteering your time. I think we all know the benefits of that. I know we're all busy, but if that's available to you, definitely volunteer time. And donating, which is one of the ways I help my clients during the KonMari organizing process, is once they've realized and are keeping things that spark joy, we donate the things that no longer resonate or spark joy with them, and it serves other people. So that's another way of practicing gratitude. And last but not least, it's focusing on what we have instead of what we lack. We all know comparison is the theft of joy, right? So focusing on what we have, because our lives are so full. If we focus on what we have, we realize that it turns out what we have is enough, right? We have enough and more. So focusing on what we have versus what we lack is very, very important. All right. So who here is ready for a gratitude challenge? So based on this presentation today, I gave some tips and tricks. What's one way you plan to incorporate gratitude in your daily life? I'd love to see that in the chat. Is it the gratitude journal? Is it the 8-minute phone call? Is it volunteering more if that's available to you? Really, really, hopefully this resonates with everyone. And everybody, tap in and start incorporating more gratitude in your daily life so that we can combat the monkey that's on our back, that mom guilt. And hopefully this resonated with everyone. And that said, I know 15 to 20 minutes goes by so fast, but I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to learn about the incredible power of gratitude. On the screen are ways that you can connect with me via email, Kaylee@sereneandsorted.com, Instagram @sereneandsorted.com, or you can visit my website for ways to work with me at sereneandsorted.com. And again, big shout out to the Mom Project for all that you do for working moms. Really appreciate this organization. And with that said, I will kick it back to Alyssa.